So the nun poem, first of all, some of my best friends have been nuns. I'm not nun-bashing here in any way, shape, or form. The use of nuns, I think one thing that's coming out in the current climate is that no matter how much we say, women ought to be able to do this, women ought to be able to think that, women ought to be able to say whatever it is, we still can't. And so the nun, for me, is that persona of all of the variety of things that women do think and feel as people and as women and so on. But while I was, writing this other kind of masculine voice came through, the hermit crab, and I just really think this is a funny poem, but this is sort of about being impious and spiritual at the same time, if that makes any sense. So, this one's called The Hermit Crab Meets with Her Confessor. So I was doing it's a prose poem. I was doing my spiritual reading this morning. I'm sorry, I have to tell you two things. Saint Maria Goretti was killed by a man who wanted to rob her of her virtue, and there is a story that her pharmacist came and she blessed him or something like that. And then Saint Agnes is one of the early Christian martyrs. She's the patron saint of women with breast cancer, or one of them. And her torture was that her breasts were cut off before her death. And I think that's all you need to know. So Maria Goretti and Saint Agnes, and I think that covers it. Okay. So I was doing my spiritual reading this morning and came across the story of Maria Goretti. Not the saint who had her tits handed to her on a platter, but the other one. She wouldn't sleep with the guy because of his sin, etc., etc. And he stabbed her to death, and she forgave him before he died, and promised her pharmacist he'd meet her in heaven, and a lot more to that tune. And I thought, the hell you did, honey. Pass me the Percodan. Not for nothing, but you tried dragging your ass all over the beach in somebody else's shell and see how fast you decide to screw a goddamn starfish, pardon me. But you know, plenty of other shells on the beach, for one thing, and for another, what's the big deal? Your money or your life, as it were. Take the money, pal, seriously. But as I think about it, the kid was just 11. Time on the beach becomes unconstructed after a while, and it's so easy to forget what it was like to be a gamete. And I'll grant you, also tough to have any kind of perspective about what you think you can carry at that age. Sex, solitude, gym class, although I don't suppose in Italy that was so much of an issue. But I'll tell you what, she'd have paid more attention. Oh, excuse me. I got lost. And let's face it, we've all married young at least once. But if she had to drag this goddamn conch around, pardon the language, I tell you what, she'd have paid more attention in gym, at minimum. So where was I? Right. Antipathies toward sexual energy, cliched lifestyle, etc., physical hygiene, sand, mobile housing, the symbolism of intimacy. Perhaps it was that she was in the unusually vulnerable molting stage, which happens to plenty of kids when they read Butler, let's face it. That St. Agnes had me going for a while in my youth. Talk about shedding your exoskeleton. And yet I have to consider sainthood. I mean, something to think about, right? Something to strive for, possibly. Shells and exoskeletons come and go. Okay, sure, she wouldn't have known that. And as to appetites, 5 will get you 20. She was living on communion wafers and altar wine. But when the shells and the bones go, what you're left with, that vibration, that wide, white buzz that lets you know whatever happens next, okay. Because that's what pulls it all together, you know what I'm saying. Solitude, reproduction, sand in the lunchbox, who cares? And this gives me pause in a life pretty much made up of pausing. Again, all I'm saying, not for nothing. If you knew that, if you'd felt that for even a minute, Maria Goretti, then okay, I got you. I'm in.